U.S. Department of Labor, Acting Secretary Julie Su.
Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year. Feliz Año Nuevo. Everyone knows that the place to ring in the new year is Vegas, and the reason for that is because of all of you. So we are here today to thank you for all that you do, and also to celebrate the historic wins that you had last year. So let me ask you, how does it feel to have won the biggest contract ever? How does it feel to have made history? And how does it feel to be part of this remarkable era of worker power in America? Yeah, 23 was a big year for worker wins at the bargaining table. From record level wage gains, to more retirement security, to stronger health and safety protections, to workers demanding and getting a voice in determining the future of their industries, from Hollywood to healthcare, from delivery drivers to dock workers, from teachers to auto workers, and yes, to casino and culinary workers. You all made history. And you did that. You are a part of something much bigger, a moment of reimagining what is possible. For far too long, we've heard that when workers make demands for higher pay, it's bad for business and bad for the country. We've heard that workers who don't make enough to live on just need to keep on working harder. Well, the Biden-Harris administration is changing that narrative. So I was in the room for many of the big negotiations that happened last year, and I heard corporations say that the wage increase you want is too far above the market rate. Above the market rate. My response to that is, why, instead of telling workers that their demands are too high, why don't we start to question why the market rate is so low? Why should we accept as normal the fact that working people have to work full-time, year-round, sometimes multiple jobs, and still not be able to afford to live near where they work? What you are doing is helping to reset and lift up the market rate. And we have, that's right, give yourselves a hand for that. And we have a president and a vice president who's not just watching this happen, but who are using every lever to promote and support it. They know that union is not a bad word. It is what makes America strong. And they know that unions also help to close race and gender pay gaps. So your contract means more economic security for women and people of color, reminding us that if we strive for worker justice, we can also achieve racial and gender justice. So workers had a big year in 2023, and now it's 2024, and we are going to keep on reimagining what is possible for workers. The Biden-Harris administration is going to keep on saying loud and clear that unions make America strong, and when workers do well, America does better. So I'm very proud to be your acting labor secretary in the most pro-worker, pro-union administration in history, and 2024 is going to be our best year yet.
Please welcome Culinary Union guest room attendant, Elena Newman.
Hello, good morning. My name is Elena. I am here so proud today to introduce the Vice President and talk about our contract fight. We had tough time negotiation with 3 big casinos. But it took us 8 months, but we fought and win. We win the historic wage increase. which will support our families and the future generation. By the end of this 5-year new contract, the average culinary worker union will be earning $37 an hour, including our benefits, which is amazing. Even though we settled contract for over 40,000 workers, there are 23 more contracts to go. About 7,700 workers that are fighting for best ever contract. We are not done yet. We still need to win all the contract, and Vice President Harris has our back. I remember in October 2023, we were picketing in Las Vegas Strip, and Vice President Harris came to our union, showed that the Biden and Harris administration support us. President Biden and Vice President Harris are the most pro-worker leaders elected which we ever had. And we love to see it. When Vice President Harris came to our union, visit us, it made me feel so strong. It gave us hope, guest room attendant, front of the house, that we can do this. We were ready to go on strike, do whatever it takes to win this contract. And she told us that when we're going to strike, she will be here to walk the picket line with us. And that was the very powerful message. As a culinary union shop steward and executive board member, I am so proud to introduce to you the Vice President of the United States of America, Kamala Harris.
Please have a seat. Elena, I'm telling you, you are just nothing but power. You are just full on power. I mean, just so powerful, and thank you. Well, it's good to be in the House of Labor. It's good to be in the House of Labor. And it's good to be back with the culinary workers. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your fight. Thank you for your strength. Thank you for all you do on behalf of the working people, not only of Nevada, but by modeling what you do, working people all over our country. It is my great honor to be back here with the culinary workers to rejoice with you in the accomplishments that you have achieved most recently, but standing in a long line of accomplishments that have always taken place coming out of this very building on behalf of the working people of America. I want to recognize my husband, who is here, the second gentleman of the United States. Also known as Doug. We were here together on October 12th when we were last here. We also have Acting Secretary Julie Su. Thank you for your leadership. She is always fighting, and I know her work from back when you were doing that work in California. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, a long-standing friend. The senator and I served together as attorneys general of Nevada and California back in the day, and then in the Senate together. And you are always, always, Catherine, fighting for working people. So it's good to be with you today. Senator Jackie Rosen, who I was honored to serve with in the United States Senate. I will tell you, I see her when the cameras are on, when the cameras are off, and she is the same person, always talking about how we should care about and thinking about the working people of America and follow through. You know, Jackie is somebody who comes off as being very nice, and she is, but she is cutthroat too. She will not tolerate anything less than a fight when it is for the right reasons and for the right folks who are doing good work. So Jackie, it's good to be with you today. Chairman Horsford, Congressman Horsford, Representative Titus, and Representative Lee, I thank you all for what you do. And then, of course, General Ford, thank you for always what you do on behalf of working people. Because the power of the law can be very persuasive when necessary to talk about what is right and what is consistent with the values that we hold dear as enshrined in the Constitution of the United States. So thank you for your work. And today, I think we should also acknowledge it was 41 years ago today that Senator Harry Reid was sworn in for his first term in the United States Congress. And knowing Harry as we all did personally, I think he'd be really proud, and he's looking down in this room at this moment, to know that the fight continues. We always talk about that, right? The fight will continue, and the fight must continue. Si se puede. So there we are. So let me start by saying this, and I say this as Vice President of the United States. I do strongly believe that the strength of our nation depends on the strength of working people. The strength of working people is the backbone of the strength of our nation. Working people, and in particular, union members, are the reason that anyone, whether you are a member of a union or not, get a weekend, get paid leave, get family leave if you get it. It is union members and the working people who are members of organized labor, who have always fought and continue to fight for the rights, for the dignity of working people and the dignity of work itself. You know, my mother would always say to me, she would say, what is this business about unskilled, low-skilled labor? All work requires a skill. And with that, and understanding that then, one should understand the dignity that rightly comes with working hard and being productive, and the need to then value that by way of wages and benefits, pensions, workplace safety, all of the things that this union has fought for traditionally and most recently has had a historic win on. It is the work of understanding that, especially in these moments in time where, you know, a lot of people are feeling really alone. And when you feel alone, you feel powerless. Well, that's part of the essence of the strength of unions, is to remind workers that you are not alone, that you come with people, that people have your back. When we talk about collective bargaining, you know, for those who are trying to break unions around the country, understand this. If you just approach policy and your thoughts from the perspective of what is fair, okay? So we're talking about all negotiations then, don't we all agree, should have a fair outcome. All negotiations should have a fair outcome. Let's just use that as a baseline standard. Who could disagree with that if they are a reasonable person? Okay? Fair outcome. So is it going to be a fair outcome if one worker has to negotiate with a corporation for fair wages, for benefits, for safe working conditions? Is that outcome of that negotiation going to be fair? Probably not. But organized labor, collective bargaining is about saying we're not going to leave that one worker out there by himself, herself. We're going to organize around the collective to use the power of the collective to have an equal voice in a negotiation, because we know then, yes, there will be a negotiation, some give and take on both sides, but the outcome will be fair. That's the point of organized labor. That's the point of collective bargaining. It's about fairness. It's a fundamental value that we as a nation say we hold sacred. Foundational principles, fairness, equality, giving people the freedom to live their best lives. That's what this is all about. It's basic, fundamental, foundational to who we say and believe we are as a country. So when I look at the hard work and the sacrifices, the day of action when I was last here, October 12th, and the members here were prepared to do some really hard work in addition to the work you do every day, but to strike, which meant to be concerned in a very deep way about how you're going to be able to pay rent, put food on the table, how long it might take, at what personal sacrifice, at what sacrifice for your children and your family and those who you take care of in your personal life. And you were prepared to do it on behalf of all working people. When I look at the accomplishments that came out of that day of action and the weeks that followed it, and we look, and the acting secretary talked about it, a 32% pay raise over 5 years. That's historic. That's historic. And by the way, so many of you were on the front lines forever and during the pandemic. It is long overdue. You got a pay raise. Long overdue. I think about it in terms of the historic accomplishment through those negotiations, through your preparedness to strike, that happened in terms of workplace safety. We've talked about this. I've met over the years with members here in this very hall and had the conversations, most recently on October 12th. How you work long hours, you work often, so many, work by yourself at night. You're going into those rooms. What that means in terms of an exposure to harassment and abuse, or just somebody just acting like a, you know how to fill in that blank. You know, and having to put up with that because you're working hard and you take your job seriously. And so what you have accomplished in these negotiations, to have the safety buttons now in place, and I was saying to some of the leaders who are here, I think that it's not only going to be about what you've done for your own members. You guys are setting a new standard for workers across the board. You're setting a new standard. Because, you know, too often in these negotiations, if you are as an individual on an individual basis trying to get what is just right and fair, somebody might be looking at you to say, that's not possible. That's not reasonable. You don't need that. But by accomplishing what you have accomplished here at Culinary 226, you are setting a new standard for workers everywhere of what they now know, because they know the story of what happened here. What they now know is possible, is reasonable, is right, and is achievable. So I came back to say thank you. To say thank you. Because the work that you have done is, yes, about the members of this storied union, but you in the larger movement for workers in America are setting new standards. You are setting new standards. And it is making a difference. And it is making a difference in the lives of people who you may never meet, people who may never know your name, but because of what you have done, they will benefit. And I'll close with another point. You know, what has really kept me up at night, frankly, for the last few years, is this weird kind of approach that some people are pushing about what is the measure of the strength of a leader. And they're pushing this stuff that suggests that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, instead of what we know, which is that the true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. Who you lift up. That is the measure of the strength of a leader. Who do you lift up? There are people that would suggest that the character of leadership is to have no interest in the lives of other people, when we know the true character of a leader is to have some level of curiosity, concern, and care about the suffering of other people, and then to do something about it. That's who you are. That's who you are. And so I say thank you, Culinary 226. Thank you and congratulations. When we